In this video, we're just going to continue doing our law of sines, but this time we're going to find missing angles. And there's some more details about the formula in the first video on finding sides. So if you did not watch that or forgot, you can go watch the beginning part of that. But I just want to kind of write down the formula here so we have it for our problems right now. And remember that the letters don't matter so much as that these are just pairs of opposite angles and sides in a triangle. So let's just jump right into an example of finding a missing angle. So this one's going to ask us to find the measure of angle Q. And we have this triangle, PQR, and we have some given information. And notice this one is SSA, not SAS. And so in this case, we do want to use the law of sines. If the 51 was in between the 6 and the 8, we would probably use the law of cosines. And so now I'm going to build my two pairs. And I'm going to start with what I want to know. So I want to know the measure of angle Q. And that corresponds to the side 6. And then I have another pair set up nicely for me. If you're ever given all the information, so you're given all the sides, the angles, if you have like extra information or something, you can choose whichever ones make sense. You just need two pairs. And so I'm going to use this 51, which goes with 8. And so now I'm going to find my measure of angle Q by setting up my law of sines. And I'm going to start with my missing one. So the sine of Q matches with 6. And the sine of 51 matches with 8. So far it's super similar to finding sides. And then we're going to continue by cross multiplying. And I get 8 sine of Q equals 6 sine of 51. And then still really similar, we don't want to start simplifying until the very end. So I want to get rid of this 8 by dividing both sides. And I get the sine of Q equals 6 sine of 51 over 8. And then here's the big difference between finding sides and finding angles. If I'm trying to find this missing angle in here, to get rid of the sine function, I need to do the sine inverse on both sides. That's my inverse function. And so what I'm going to end up typing in, which you don't have to write down every time, but you just need to know how to type it in, is the sine inverse of this fraction that I made. So that's why it's important to not simplify too early. Just leave everything until the very end, and then you'll type this whole thing in your calculator just once, and it makes your life a lot easier. So we do sine of 6 sine 51 divided by 8. So inside your parentheses should look exactly like this looks. And we get 35.7. And this is an angle, so you should have degrees on there. And 35.7 looks pretty realistic for this very small angle in here. So I feel confident in that answer, 35.7. So now I do want to show you one more example. Just like with solving sides, there's like a weird one where you have to do a couple extra steps. And so I want to show you that one, and I'll have you try most of it on your own. So let's do that one too. In this example, we are going to find the measure of angle Z. And so as we kind of look at this, we have side angle, so I can't use cosines for this one. And then when I try to find my pairs, if you notice, like the first thing that I would have normally circled is z. And I can even circle it and kind of look at this. When we go across, we don't have anything here that's missing. And so this is not even a pair that I can use because I need one or the other. Like I can't have two missing values, z and this side, and solve for anything. So I can't actually use this, but when we were trying to find sides, remember, if we know two of the angles, all we have to do is subtract them from 180 to find the third. And so I could just as easily find the measure of angle x and then use that to find z. So it's kind of like two steps in one. So in order to do that, I'm going to use x and 4.3 and then 7.6 and 50. So you can see like I didn't have enough information to use z directly, but if I find my other angle, I can find z at the very end. So let's use, we're going to use the squares and the little clouds. So we have the sine of x over 4.3 equals the sine of 50 over 7.6. And so now I want you to solve for x. So you can pause the video, do the exact same thing we just did, and solve for x. And then if you want to, you can also solve for z. But when you are done, unpause, and we'll go through how to find z together. So all my work is there to find the measure of angle x, which I got is 25.7. Seems pretty reasonable. This is a pretty small angle for x. But that's not what it asked me for. It asked me for the measure of angle z. So to find the measure of angle z, I just need to do a couple extra steps, and that is subtract my known angles from 180. So 180 minus 25.7 minus 50 is going to give me my measure of angle z. So 180 minus 25.7 minus 50. So 104.3, which does look correct because this is a bigger than 90 degrees. So this seems like a good answer for the measure of angle z. So it's kind of backwards from finding missing sides. If you don't have enough information, you can do the law of sines first to find a different angle and then use your answer to subtract from 180. In missing sides, we did this part first and then filled in the information. So there's lots of ways for you to use that 180 fact to be able to help you in the law of sines.